Hello, welcome to my Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. This is the market video for the market ending week September 26, 2025. In this video, we're going to talk about the index and some of the semiconductors and software group, and then we'll dive into some of the growth stocks list that I follow. So this will be two videos that I usually make, but I'm just going to have one video today because the market really is not doing that well, at least from a growth stock perspective. And I'll talk more about that in the second half of the video. But looking at the index right now, Nasdaq is slightly down this week, 0.65%, so it doesn't look that bad. But behind the scene, we're seeing lots of stocks actually, especially in the growth area, starting to deteriorate. So this week we started out Monday pretty strong, but then Tuesday, Fed Reserve's, Jerome Powell mentioned that maybe the market is fairly value. I can't remember the exact words. So that spurred a sell-off in stocks, on Tuesday, and then it kind of followed to Wednesday, and then Thursday, more sell-off in the morning. It did start to rebound sometime that day, and then Friday, we have the PCE number that met expectations. So here's the number here, the personal consumption expenditure index for August was largely in line. It is 0.3% monthly and a rise of 2.7% yearly. Core inflation also 0.2% rise, increase annually to 2.9%, both net estimates. So that helped boost potential rate cut in October, 89% chance right now of cutting 0.25. So the market was quite happy for Friday because of that news. And yeah, it was able to close pretty strong. So here's the intraday chart, and you see it kind of, opened kind of not bad, and then it kind of give back, and then it started to struggle, trying to find a bottom, but it eventually did, and then it closed pretty strong. So the question is this a bounce that we are going to see again? Yeah, it can happen because a lot of time the day after it fall to a moving average, it tends to climb back, and that's what we are seeing here. So if this continues, we could have another run, right? So I'm just showing this is what happened usually. So here's more, right? So generally, when it pulls back to the short-term moving average, it can bounce, again, we don't know. It's hard to say when this rally will finish. So it's best not to assume that. But at the same time, you gotta look at the growth stocks perspective. Are they doing well, right? Are they climbing back above their 10-day moving average, just like the index is? That's what I will gauge their, the stock, right? The other thing is, we did have a pretty severe drop here at these 3 days, so a lot of charts are damaged. So they could be below the 10-day or even further. And even if they bounce, right? Sometimes I don't trust the first bounce. I don't mind buying higher. Like for example, there's a bounce here. I don't mind buying higher on the second day, especially if it gaps out on Monday morning or whatever, because that's proof that there is a momentum, and also it will probably break this trend line, break above it. So that's something I'm watching for. Same thing at the stock level. Are they breaking above their recent downtrend line, right? Um, you know, and just to be more specific, I can draw the trend line just on the down days, which it did break on Friday. But like I said, sometimes when the downtrend line is too steep, like this, it's probably like less than 40 degree or something. But in that case, it's too steep, and if it goes a little bit more, like 45-degree angle, then maybe that's better, right? Like this is perfect actually. If it goes above that trend line, I have more confidence that hey, it has given time to bounce back, and it seems to be working. But again, all this being said, like I would be more cautious now because and you will see in my growth stocks list later, more and more stocks are actually deteriorating than bouncing back, and that's not a good sign. Going to the weekly chart on S&P, we also down 0.3% for the week. Again, the index have been holding up better than a lot of growth stocks. So I mean, in most market tops, that's usually the case. Growth stocks will deteriorate first, and then the index eventually deteriorate, right? The best example of that was back in 2020, late 2021, early 2022. S&P took, basically top around early days of January, but the growth stock actually topped like, late November, or even in December. Okay, so much earlier than the index itself. Again, here we see a bounce from Thursday low here. So that's the good sign. Again, it's the market over value. I keep hearing the 22 number. S&P PE ratio is at forward guidance, earnings ratio is 22, which is one of the highest in history. To compare that with, say, 2000 bubble, it was at 25, which is like, historical high. So 22 is fairly valued, just like Jerome Powell said. So can the market move from here? I mean, possible if the earnings come out in October and they're skyrocketed, but I highly doubt that, right? Things are slowing down, um, so there's more risk going forward than actually gain from it because of the overvaluation, and this rally has run up for a long time. Looking at Dow dropped very little, 0.1%, so looking the strongest right now. So it also topped on Tuesday here, and then bounced back on Thursday slightly from the lows, and then Friday kind of followed through as well. So again, all the index look pretty healthy because they come back above the 10-day, right? So it's possible that this will have another run, I don't want to say it can run, but how far can this run go? That's probably the question, right? There seem to be more and more risk now because it's, getting to the point where it's just barely valid, So a lot of analysts I keep hearing is they're hoping for a rotation into like, more cyclical stocks and even small caps, right? That could bring new leadership, right? And Russell trying to do that. But again, it just kind of looked a little bit wobbly this week, down zero point 0.5, not too much, but it's just, yeah, I mean, maybe this is just a chance to take a break after like a 7-week run. It's possible. Looking at the chart again, we see a very big pullback here. I don't really like this pullback. It's probably one of the steepest pullback, like compared to this one here, pretty similar. So, but that day was, that bounce here after that severe pullback was driven by the Fed. I remember yeah, was that? Yeah, that was the almost 4% bounce from the Fed announcing the policy shift. And so that's another problem, right? Like all the news are already all the good news in terms of like lowering interest rate and a lot of other things too has already been priced in. Like what else can you ask from the market in terms of good news? So that's also like when all the good news are baked in and stocks aren't moving too much anymore. Like there's now starting to be the opposite, right? If any negative news come out, like I said, when Jerome Powell came out and just said, one sentence, the market is fairly valued, the market took a tumble for 3 days. So that just show you like how quick the market can fall when there's some bad news, right? So, the other thing I would consider recently is like stocks uh, like MU report good earnings and it still went down, that's just a sign of like, hey, all the good news are baked in. Hey, there's really not much more. It's overvalued and blah blah blah, right? So again, I don't want to say this is the one example, but I'm just using this as a a sign, right? That maybe the market is showing some topping signals. So this is Innovator IBD 50 ETF, top 50 stock. So here we actually see a big tumble for the top 50 IBD 50 ETF. Here we see it down 4% compared to the index, which is only down like definitely less than 1%, like 0.5% for the week, right? So it shows the big difference between growth stocks and the market index. Again, um, I, I I mean we can go back to like 2022, like late 2021 actually. That's when it first started here. Here we go, like at the top here. November 12th was the peak, and it started to tumble below the 50-day line here. Of course, the market has been running for a long time here, and it didn't top like very straightforward because it actually topped in February and then it tries to come back up here, and then finally it topped again here, right? So there was some rotation here between February and September or whatever, and then we have another quick run here, and then yeah, and then we see the big 2022 tumble. But again, when the market starts to top, it's kind of scary when it can drop this much. So the only difference here right now is that we're still above the 50-day or 10-week moving average. So nothing too severe yet. A lot of people will hold the growth stocks at the 50-day line. Like that's their bottom line there. If it goes below that and undercut it and stay below it, that's when there's some serious issue from that, and people will be selling. So we're not there yet, but it's just that 1 week 4% is quite severe. If we have another 4%, we probably will undercut this line. On the daily chart, this actually looks pretty bad because we are under the 10-day despite Friday bounce. And look at Friday's bounce. I mean, 0.08%. Like, ask yourself, is that even a bounce? Or more, So anyhow, the 10-day slope is starting to, the green line here, starting to slope down. And more importantly, this is so steep, this downtrend line right now. Is it possible it'll bounce back and just, fool everyone? Yeah, it is possible. But again, the market can be very volatile at moments like this. We already see some true colors of current recent deterioration. I would be more cautious. A 3-day follow through is not usual in a rally. That could signify a trend in the marketplace. So another thing I just want to note is, so knowing this chart, which represent the top 50. Remember, this is a top 50. I mean, there's other stocks that are under the ranking 50, and they're probably much worse, right? Like they could be even performing worse than this chart. So maybe they're not even at that 21 day right now, which this chart is showing. Maybe they're even below the 21 day. So just something to be aware of when you're looking at charts. It's one thing to be below the 10-day, it's another thing to be below the 21-day. And then obviously the 50-day is kind of like, again, the bottom line where a lot of growth stocks, especially long-term growth stocks investors will hold. And if it goes below that after a certain time, they usually will sell because they don't want to give it all back, right? I mean, the 200-day line, black line, is so far away. I mean, giving back this much is already quite a bit. If you have to give back more, if it does come down to that line, that's a lot to give back. Here's 10-day yield, the long-term treasury yield. It's bouncing back quite a bit, but still below this big trend line here. So we'll see how it reacts around here. US dollar actually had a breakthrough this week, moving up really high. Again, the market tend to have kind of opposite effect of the US dollar. When the US dollar tends to rise, usually the market tend to weaken as well. So that's something to watch for. Another surprising move again, with the oil price, usually dependent on US dollar, it also moved accordingly, and we did see some oil and gas stocks moving this week as well. Gold had a huge bounce back this week from pullback earlier on, Wednesday here. Yeah, and some growth stocks are making new highs, but not all growth stocks are doing that. So that also give me some hesitation to pile into more growth stocks. So again, I am worried that as the market top here, potentially top here, that it might also growth stocks might finally maybe also finish their run here, and possibly will consolidate. Same thing with silver. I'm seeing the same thing. Silver making new highs, but some silver stocks just not showing the same caliber here. Like for example, PAS here. I mean, it did actually close strong here, but I mean, it's not. It's a good bounce. I don't want to say it's not a good bounce, but SVM, another silver net stock. Yeah, so you can see this one didn't make a new high. For the gold stocks, Barrick Mining, again, this one didn't make a new high, even though this has been a leader. Perhaps it's just too extended, too overvalued, I don't know, but just not making new highs no more. But there are some other stuff like CDE, still making new high, AGI, barely making a new high. So again, there's some mixed pictures there. Copper also make a move this week. Look at this huge bounce on Wednesday. But it did give back Thursday and Friday. It's normal for it to pull back. It did bounce near the 10 days, so perhaps this will start to move again. Probably another big story this week is Bitcoin failed to move, falling through on this breakout, near this breakout zone here. It fell back this week to near the bottom of the range. This is getting dangerous zone because if we fell on this low here, we could go further down, right? So that's something to be aware of. Ethereum also breaking down pretty bad here. You can see it's now below all the short-term and even 50 days. So that can be a problem. So looking at this week, IBA signal still, have 80 to 100% allocation. So pretty high still, surprisingly. And we did have a mild distribution day on Thursday. Now it's 4 on Nasdaq and 4 on S&P count, total count there. So something to also be mindful of. Distribution days usually signify institutions selling into the market. And this week overall, we're seeing pretty mixed picture in terms of accumulation versus distribution on the number of stocks here. Not too much volume this week compared to last week. We closed very strong. This week we are pretty near even, right? Like it kind of go back and forth. Like by Friday, we have 194 stocks under accumulation versus 177 stocks under distribution. So again, not too much of a difference. Same thing with the industry group, not too much of a difference. Almost the same number of groups are under accumulated versus distributed. And then here we have the sector: technology, retail, industrial, health, commodities, financial, and we see that commodities are the strongest because there's gold, there's silver stocks, there's some even oil and gas stocks starting to move, and some solar stocks, and they're doing much better this week. You can see this dominating this week. Industrial health closed back a little bit even, so this is net number of stocks under accumulation minus the number of stocks distribution, right? So it just shows which side is stronger, whether there's more accumulation, and you can see more distribution in retail, technology, and financial. This is 1X semiconductor. On the daily chart, you can see it's holding up pretty strong, surprisingly. And this is probably one area I'm still quite surprised how well it's holding up. So this could be, not surprising because we have so much AI news investments lately, like this week and even last week. More investment, OpenAI, but all these big companies. It's just non-stop announcement of investment, building data centers and so forth. So that area is really holding up well, but we'll see. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can see it just doesn't want to go down. So perhaps there's more room to go, and maybe this rally will continue. Now, looking at Nvidia, given that we have a down week, this doesn't look too bad. But if I don't, look from that perspective, and I just look at this chart alone, it's not moving much, right? Like it's just stuck at this near this short-term moving average right there, and until it breaks out from this top at level here, like there's not much I would do right here because it's not that far from the high. I might as well wait for the high. If it breaks out from that high, then which is a nice base. This is a nice flat base, and that will give me a better sign, right? Like right here on the weekly chart, you can see nice flat base, 11% correction, versus this one here, 43%. Like this is a nice chart. If it breaks out here, I would be more confident in both this stock and also the market just because Nvidia is the AI leader here. Now looking at Avago Broadcom, you see kind of a totally different picture, right? Not only are we in downtrend, and then look at Friday, like it just can't even come close to the 10-day. Again, this is something that I'm watching out for, and unfortunately, I'm seeing more stocks behaving this way than bouncing off the short-term moving average, which is not a good thing. Like because Thursday and Friday we have a bounce in the index, but a lot of these growth stocks are not bouncing like the index are, and that's what makes me think about like maybe there's more deterioration because relative strength are not going up. If anything, they're going down in this case. TSM very similar, although has been shown a lot of relative strength before the recent days here, but it was showing pretty high relative strength. Now Thursday, Friday, you can see it just doesn't have the power. AMD, again, this one is trading mostly under the 10-day moving average than above it. Again, this is just maybe it's consolidating and it will eventually come back up, or this could be considered an L-shaped pattern, which is a bearish pattern. and just wait for some bad news, and this could take another time. Moving on to the software group, looking at the mega caps right now. This pull back again Tuesday to Thursday. Friday, you see this one actually bounced back above, just slightly above the 10-day here. So on the weekly chart, it doesn't look too bad. It's off down 1.89% this week. It's still hovering near the pivot point from this little short consolidation here. So in this situation, it actually looks, still okay, right? Like nothing too bad yet. So we're hoping to see if that can continue to rebound from here. So here's Microsoft. It really hasn't done much. And again, this look more like L-shaped base than a cup base right now, which is a bearish pattern. So again, I just, I don't want to look too much into it, but again, it's just not showing any positive sign right now that it is going to come back. So just, I would be more patient and just wait. And the one of the strongest mega cap recently is Google, and even this one is starting to deteriorate, right? 3% down this week. So okay, here's the chart. Now Thursday it pulled back all the way below the 10-day, and then it bounced back intraday. And then on Friday, look at that, right? Like, it's not closing at the top of the range. Instead, it come back down to the 10-day level. So that again tells me there's more weakness than strength here. Meta is starting to build a downtrend line. This one looks quite bad because Friday it didn't even try to bounce when the index bounce. Amazon very similar, like again, look at this bounce, 0.75%. After such a big drop here below the red line, now we're near the 200-day line. This looks not good at all. So Apple continue to ride on their iPhone selling, right now at the stores, and the chart is holding a lot better than most stocks. It's near a breakout point here. Yeah, this looks a lot quite good actually. Considering the sell-off in the marketplace, this one is actually not selling off, holding really tight. So relative strength is actually coming up pretty strong right now. Tesla, also doing pretty well. You can see on this weekly chart, it's just starting to rise back to the all-time high. This week you can see it just pulls back, not too bad, right? It's not any volatile like crazy bar or anything. And then on Friday, nice big bounce here. Going to Netflix. Netflix is not doing much again. Um, the trade in and out here, it hasn't worked. And it's just not doing much really. Going flatline right now. The video is going to be shorter than usual, and that's why I combined the growth stock list. Just because the reason why is, we went down to as low as 22% of my growth stock list in uptrend. Like that's probably the lowest number I have seen in a long time since I start even tracking this from yeah, I mean, look at this. I don't even see anything in the 20s. So we start tracking this list July 14 when earnings came out, and it like I said, it dropped to that low. Again, growth stocks are selling off on Thursday big time. Uh, Friday we see some bounce here back to 33%. Obviously not many stocks are hitting new recent highs, like only 33. But again, when we start going through that list, you will see there's just too many in downtrend right now. Out of this list, I have 406 stocks right now, and 244 is in downtrend, and only like 1/3 is in uptrend. And some of them are just because of the bounce on Friday, like I said, just a little bit of a bounce above the 10-day and push them back up, in uptrend mode. But really, it's just, it's still pretty weak, I would say. So again, do I trust this bounce? Definitely not at this moment. But if it gaps out on Monday and hold that, then that gives me more confidence, right? But I don't know if that's going to happen. So here's my growth stock list that I usually go over, ranked by performance since July 14 right here. And then you will see whether they're in uptrend, downtrend, or within 1% of the short-term 10 and 21-day moving average. Here's where it shows whether it make new recent highs, right? So some of these stocks are making new recent high, like CDE in the gold area, which I showed earlier, HL, another gold stock, right? And again, SSRM, another stock here. App Living is still going. CN is still going. KTOS Aerospace Defense is still doing well. So look at this in the top here. There's not many stocks making new highs right now. Feel free to go, at your own pace to go through this list here. I talk about some of this every other week. But we're starting to see more stocks in downtrend like Reddit, right? Let's pull that up. And here's the chart right here. Look at this severe drop. And I mean, we did have a bounce on Friday, but again, where is the bounce after? Like, where is it? It's at the 21-day moving average, right? We're not even at the 10-day right now. So the bounce is, really just under the trend line here. And this trend line is very steep, okay? You know, so the red marks is where I got out again. So that's that. Let's keep going here. So we see Seco in downtrend, CLS. Let's look at CLS because this was a winner before. So here's CLS trading really tight right here above 10-day, and then all of a sudden it just dropped below it. And then look at Friday. Well, like, where's the bounce? I don't see a bounce. Down 0.3%. On a good market day, it didn't bounce. Relative strength starting to hit new lows here, right? So again, the weakness is showing right now. Another stock here, Credo, one of the strong former winner. Look at this one. I mean, this has gone on for a while, right? And look at it right now. It's just tumbling very fast. And again, where is Friday's bounce and where is Thursday's bounce? Like, there's not falling through. You know, growth stocks are deterring a lot faster than what we're seeing on the market index. And so, again, this is a good example. We have 10-day here, 21-day here, and 50-day. It most likely will challenge the 50-day. Now, when it comes down to 50-day, it already gave back a lot, right? Now, think about where the black line is, 200-day. That's generally, usually the very similar amount it will give up if it goes to the black line. So, if you even got in this stock super early, I mean, around this level here, I mean, you might still have some gains, right? Some good gains, but if you give back all of that and then give back all this, like, it's really bad. Of course, at some point it's going to start to bottom out and form another base here, and then goes again, right? But the problem is we don't know that, is this going to happen, or is this like 2022 where a lot of growth stocks drop 50 to 80%? So, those are the risks you will have to take and consider, if that could happen or not, right? HSI, forming a downtrend right now. We see Ethon in biotech world doing well still. SITM, AVDL in downtrend. MOD also in downtrend. ALC still in uptrend. PSTG now is in downtrend as well. So the storage area, which is one of the strongest areas. So let's look at it as a group because I want to see where all of them are right now. So here's PSTG. Again, look at this downtrend line right there. It followed through on the sell-off after dropping below 10-day, and then it bounced on Friday a little bit on the pink line here, right? So again, still under 10-day. So it doesn't look as bad yet, but it is below 10-day. So that's something to be mindful of, and it's below the downtrend line right here. I just drew it there. Next we have, let's see, Seagate Technology. This one is starting to pull back. Now this is also another strong leader in this area group. And where is it right now? Okay, it's still sitting at the 10-day. Now again, Friday it didn't close strong. Again, relative strength therefore is now weaker, right? So again, how are they trading against the market? It's performing much weaker than the index itself. Next one. We already talked about MU earlier. That's also in data storage. Let's look at WDC. Even though this stock is not on my list, but it's also one of the big runners. Here you go. So this one very similar to Seagate. It is slightly above 10-day moving average. So it still looks okay, right? But again, relative strength weakening because it didn't bounce on Friday when the market did. We have FTAI, MU both in downtrend here. We have gold still doing well. MUX here. Stone, PHC downtrend, AU uptrend, Seagate National downtrend. Some of these stocks, KRMN still in uptrend, MDGL in downtrend, CVI. So this is oil and gas, right? Which is kind of interesting because oil and gas, not all of them, but some of them are moving pretty good. Look at this trend line, like pretty nice trend line right now. LSCC, Tesla, we talked about that earlier. So those are still in uptrend. Zeta, Co-op, ALNY all in downtrend now. SenX, this is in metal fabrication. This one had a nice bounce here after a pullback. Pretty big bounce too. Yeah. Then we have WW, TAM in downtrend. PAS we talked about earlier. ATAC in downtrend. OR Gold, right? In uptrend. PPC downtrend. PTSG within 1%. Sterling downtrend. Another group that got hammered is the building construction in the industrial STRL. Like huge drop here. Like 2 days it gave up so much. Now it did bounce back quite a little bit on like from Thursday intraday low, and Friday it comes back to 10-day. So it's kind of in the middle ground, slightly more in the bottom range. But I just don't like how volatile those 2 days are. You know, how fast it can give back. TPC and another one in this group. This one doesn't look as volatile, but same story. It just fall back below to the 21-day and just come back to the 10 days, and hold there right now. Next we have FNV in gold. Audio eyes still holding up. AGI in gold. HIMS, medical service still holding up. SVM, mining gold. Look at how many miners like starting to dominate the top here. KNSA still in uptrend. SGML, mining ore is still in uptrend. ASTS. So there's some medical still doing okay. Not all of them, same thing, but some of them are doing okay. TARS, over the ASTH TARS, Hero, mining ores, again, road, again, heavy construction, this one also coming down. So here you go, it's very similar. Most of them came down to the 21-day very fast. Look at that slope. And then it just, not doing much after. First solar, so solar stocks are still holding up. MERM, Google, we talk about HRO. Again, biotech still holding up. Some of them, not all of them. BCO, security safety is uptrend. ATG, there's some theme here. ATGE, APEI, LOPE, those are in consumer service education that's doing well. I think there's another one, STRA, somewhere here. Then we have SoFi, giving back right now. Look at SoFi, came down to 21-day. It bounced back slightly to the 10-day. Again, it's still really big downward slope here, right? And Friday again, relative strength is weakening because it didn't perform as well as the market did. We are all oil and gas, API. We talk about Hello downtrend. So Hello, it's really one of the stronger biotech stock. And I kind of consider this a leader in a sense because it has come back up a lot. But look at it, how fast it's deteriorating right now. I mean, the slope is just pretty steep, right? So now it's just making new low and closing at the new low here. So not a good sign even for some biotechs, right? So not all are equal. ANET, I mean, this one, a lot of growth stock traders does trade this one. It's starting to look more like L shape, and you can see the slope right there. Yeah. Another one which is not on my list, I just want to talk about because a lot of growth stock traders also trade Astera Lab, A Lab here. Look at this one. This is like steep, right? Trend line here, downtrend line, and look at the bounce. There's no bounce. Like, I mean, look at the RS rating. It just dropped like a rock. We have NU in downtrend, CRK oil and gas again. This one's still in uptrend. SII, this is in financial investment management, still doing well. MDT, downtrend. RNG, software enterprise in downtrend. SMTC is still holding up a little bit low. We're talking about Marvel, still holding up a little bit. ARDT, medical hospitals. Then we have AMRK, PAGS, FN, all in downtrend. We have more gold stocks here. Rango, HTHT, Chinese stock here in uptrend. FCFS doing well still. Consumer loans making new highs. Then we have ALKT here within 1%. Then we have Oracle. Let's take a look at Oracle. Again, one of the big AI stories that sparked the recent AI run in the last week or so. And look at this stock. It climbed right here, and then look at this where it is now. It's giving back so much of its gain. Now we're at the 21-day. Like again, this RS rating is just tumbling, making new lows right now because it's just not performing at all compared to the index. It was down 2.7% on Friday when the market is actually up. HCA Medical Hospital, so that group is doing well. Expedia still holding up to near 1%, the moving average. HESI uptrend in finance REIT, SE in downtrend, SAN, Banks Money Center. Not too many financials, but there is a few that's holding up. Again, but in general, I'd say like lots of stocks are starting to go into downtrend now. So I mean, you have again the blue here, the commodity star popping up into the top 100 slowly, like close to the top 100. And here we have Broadcom. We talked about that earlier. I mean, one Chinese stock that a lot of people talk about is Futu, and even this one has not worked recently. It just started going down. So again, not all Chinese stocks are equal. Like there's some, stocks that have been moving, like ABA, that is doing really well. It did pull back Thursday and Friday because super extended from here. But it's still overall in the uptrend, right? But not all Chinese stocks are equal to. We have Air here still doing well, MTZ. So not, again, even in heavy construction, MTZ is still holding up. Here's Palantir. I don't think we talked about Palantir yet. So Palantir is trading very tight. Again, relative strength is just not working for so many of these growth stocks. I'm very surprised, and this is why I feel a little bit more bearish than usual because of this. Here's a firm. Look at how fast this is deteriorating. Again, we see this, kind of L-shaped pattern, because usually L-shaped pattern forms when, you have one huge bar or something, or some strong up run, then it kind of comes down really fast, right? That forms the left side of the L. Then it goes sideways most of the time, meaning it usually trades at the bottom range of the bottom here. Now this one probably look a little bit more, more like a base formation, but still, like it just what and that's the thing. Once it break the lows of the L or this consolidation, it can goes down really fast, and it's below 50-day now. So this is one of the ones that definitely are deteriorating even faster. And now we are around rank 145. So I assume as you go down this list, you're going to see a lot of stocks now breaking 50-day line. KGS here, oil and gas, doing well. Citigroup still holding up. So we have AM here, another oil and gas making new recent high. So again, this very specific areas are still doing okay. Here's Spotify. So this one hasn't done much. It's kind of forming a actually nice flat base here. So again, very similar to Palantir chart, just forming a nice short consolidation. We'll see if this can work. McKesson doing well this week. And we have Workday doing good. Australia, we talk about DTM, that's oil and gas. Down here we have another oil and gas, WMP. Then here we have aerospace defense, HWM. Here we have DoorDash here, ranked 219. So this one is behaving like I kind of group, DoorDash, Spotify, and Netflix, because they're all kind of subscription based a little bit, and yeah, they're all forming nice tight pattern right now, which is not a bad thing. In fact, this is exactly what you want to see. So that's a good sign. So as you go down this list, you will see more stuff. Let's look at GEV here. So this one again, this is in the alternative energy group, and yeah, it doesn't look too bad, right? But it is, challenging the range, bottom range here, recent range. But here's ServiceNow, it bounced back quite a bit from the bottom, but it has stalled, got rejected here at 200-day. It came down to this declining 50-day. It bounced off it. So, I mean, it's just stuck right now. It's just stuck. ZS, surprisingly, doing well right now. We have Nvidia down here. Hasn't been performing since July, 8% up. Here's Dell, ranked 258. And this one is starting to, kind of live a little bit below the red line here. So, and that's the key line, for a lot of investors, especially institutional investors. So if they break those lines, and stay below it for a while, people will start to know. ADUS here, medical, again, home outpatient home care, that area, hospitals, home care, those are doing pretty good. Again, maybe because of the defensive nature of those, I'm not sure. So yeah, as you come down this list, we are getting closer to the bottom of the list, around 400 stocks here. You definitely gonna see a lot more downtrend. We see Microsoft here hasn't made much of a gain at all since July 14, 3% there. And there's toast and upstart right down here. I mean, look at this. This is definitely toasted now. Here's upstart again, big downtrend line from the top here. It's starting to look really ugly because now, like these are stocks that are really not just under 50-day. Now they're under 200-day. You know. So yeah, as we continue this list, that I mean, these are probably stocks that really like below their short term. Like I mean, even the 200-day line. Like here's bros here. So here's bros. Like I mean, lots of people were talking about this, and look at this downtrend line hitting these lows. Yeah, CISO here at the bottom. Like I mean, this was the Titan before, and I mean this one again forming lots of L-shaped patterns. Look at this. So coming down fast, then kind of goes sideways and just couldn't break back above the middle ground here. Then it formed another one. Like look at this again. This doesn't even move much above like at the bottom range here, and then it just keep making new lows here. So yeah, this is a shorter video of my growth talk list is, and the reason I talk more about the downtrend ones is because um I mean that's the whole point of this, right? Like if the market, even though the index are not showing that much deterioration, but the growth stocks, a lot of them are, and even with Thursday's Friday like bounce, a lot of stocks are not following that momentum, and as a momentum trader, that's the kind of signs I look for, and I hope you guys can appreciate this, and please give me a like and subscribe. Yeah, I really thank you for that, and I hope you guys will continue to enjoy my videos. And I do live stream most of the days, Monday to Friday in the morning. So if you want to watch that, or even after it's recorded, you can watch that after as well. Thank you all for joining me. Have a good weekend.